Greetings and blessings to my viewers and subscribers. Thanks for watching WHADAT, your #1 choice for news, sports and entertainment. Now, in this update, 2 killed, 1 wounded in Darliston shooting. Rising Jamaican TikToker Jamie Warlock shot dead. St. Catherine fruit vendor shot dead in Riversdale. Jamaica Constabulary Force pushes back on calls for mandatory body cameras. Guyana orders police at ports to wear body cameras. Now, to our stories. In Darliston, Westmoreland, 2 men were shot and killed and another wounded by a gunman on Saturday evening along the Lennox-Big Woods Main Road, police and local sources report. Preliminary accounts indicate that the 3 men were at a local bar when a lone gunman opened fire. Police were alerted to the shooting and the injured parties were transported to the hospital, where 29-year-old Andre Hall, otherwise known as Bobby, and 38-year-old Errol Price were pronounced dead. The 3rd victim was treated for injuries and hospitalized. At the time of reporting, no arrests had been publicly confirmed. Authorities say this incident compounds concerns over recent violence in parts of Westmoreland, where law enforcement agencies have in the past week stepped up weapons interdictions and targeted operations, which they say forms part of a broader effort to disrupt illicit arms flows and gang activity in the parish. Residents in Darliston expressed shock and fear following the shooting, with business owners saying the attack has heightened anxiety among patrons and traders and called on authorities to increase patrols and visibility in the area. Relatives and neighbors of the victims also called for a swift police response and better protection for community spaces such as bars and public areas where people gather. Now, in our second story, from the parish of Manchester, up-and-coming Jamaican TikTok personality Jamie Warlock was shot and killed on Sunday afternoon while at the St. Toulis River, a popular spot near the border of Manchester and Clarendon. Warlock, who had amassed more than 14,000 followers on TikTok, had uploaded a comical video clip only hours before his death. In the post, he declared his devotion to his partner. In the clip, the content creator can be seen humorously telling viewers that he had promised his partner the world. In the incident, according to police reports, Warlock was visiting the river when he was approached and chased by an armed man who opened fire. He was fatally shot on the scene. Investigators have not yet disclosed a motive for the killing, nor whether any suspects have been identified. News of Warlock's death quickly spread across social media, with fans and fellow creators expressing grief and disbelief. Many pointed to the timing of his last video post as especially chilling. Imagine laughing at his video this morning, then hearing he's gone, one follower wrote in the comments. Authorities from both Manchester and Clarendon divisions are probing the killing. Detectives are appealing to anyone who may have been in the vicinity to come forward with information. The incident adds to growing concern about violence in Jamaica. Meanwhile, in Riversdale, St. Catherine, a fruit vendor, was gunned down inside his home in Harewood District, Riversdale, on Sunday night. The deceased has been identified as Wayne Mondle, otherwise called Coco and Hanson. Reports are that shortly after nightfall, residents heard loud explosions coming from Mondle's premises. The police were summoned, and upon arrival, they found him suffering from multiple gunshot wounds inside the house. He was pronounced dead at hospital. Investigators have not yet established a motive for the killing. Mondle's murder adds to a recent wave of violent incidents in St. Catherine, where lawmen have been increasing operations in several hotspots. Now, in our next story, JCF pushes back on calls for mandatory body cameras after Clarendon killing. The Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, has pushed back strongly against mounting pressure from rights groups and oversight bodies to make body-worn cameras, BWCs, mandatory in all planned police operations, following public outrage over the controversial killing of Jamar Farquharson in Clarendon earlier this month. Let it be clearly stated, the JCF will not be dictated to by Jamaicans for Justice JFJ, the Independent Commission of Investigations Indicom, or any other group on matters of operational deployment of body-worn cameras or any other internal operational strategies. the force declared in a statement posted to X on Saturday. The dispute comes amid a sharp rise in fatal police shootings. According to Indicom, there have been 230 fatal police shootings between January 1 and September 25, a 76% increase compared to the same period in 2024. Deputy Commissioner Hamish Campbell noted that none of the 23 officers involved in the September 15 raid on Farquharson's home wore BWCs. Viral video footage from the incident shows Farquharson opening a door and raising his hands before police entered on a gun warrant. Officers later reported that he was shot after allegedly pulling a firearm in his bedroom. The JCF said a .38 revolver was seized at the scene. Campbell argued that BWCs could have been decisive in clarifying the circumstances. Not once this year has anybody worn a body-worn camera during a planned police operation, he said. The JCF insists it is not resisting BWCs, but stressed that it cannot deploy equipment it does not yet have. The force disclosed that procurement of 1,000 additional cameras has been completed, with delivery expected in the coming weeks. Calls from various quarters for the mandatory use of BWCs falsely imply resistance from the JCF. Nothing could be further from the truth. The reality is that we cannot be mandated to use tools that we do not yet have, the statement said, citing logistical and financial constraints of equipping more than 8,000 frontline officers. The force also emphasized that it supports investigations into all fatal encounters. We remain committed to accountability, transparency, and justice. This is the mature posture of a force committed to modernization, not a force resisting change, the statement said. Meanwhile, Indicom and rights groups remain unconvinced. The watchdog highlighted that planned police operations, PPOs, now account for the highest proportion of police-involved fatalities since monitoring began in 2013, with 76 men killed in 64 PPOs in 2024. Only one officer in those operations wore a camera, and the device was not activated. The failure to introduce the wearing of body-worn cameras during planned policing operations has become unfathomable and untenable, Indicom said in a recent report to Parliament. JFJ, Stand Up for Jamaica, and the Office of the Public Defender have all echoed calls for cameras to be compulsory in raids, arguing that the technology is vital to protect both civilians and officers, bolster transparency, and rebuild public trust. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang last year downplayed the usefulness of BWCs in violent confrontations, saying their primary benefit lay in managing public order. He has stressed that police officers must retain the ability to defend themselves in dangerous environments. The key challenges being experienced include: 1. The large size of the force, some 8,000 operational members, which complicates full, rapid deployment. 2. Infrastructure demands such as secure storage, data transfer, digital security, policies, activation protocols. If not properly managed, footage can be lost, data integrity can be compromised. 3. The costs. Procuring the cameras is only part of the cost. Managing all the video, ensuring equipment works, creating supporting systems, and providing training are significant undertakings. While the benefits are: 1. Accountability. Advocacy groups argue that in many controversial or fatal police operations, there are conflicting accounts between civilians or witnesses and official narratives. BWCs can provide objective evidence to resolve these discrepancies. 2. Transparency. BWCs are seen as an instrument to build or restore public trust in policing, especially in areas or incidents with suspected misuse of force. And 3. Protection for both officers and citizens. Supporters argue that cameras protect officers from false allegations and also protect citizens from misconduct. Jamaica's record 40% drop in murders this year has not eased public concerns about how officers use force in operations. With the JCF set to receive more cameras in the coming weeks, the debate over whether their use will be mandated or left to internal discretion is set to intensify, and on the international scene starting Monday, all law enforcement personnel assigned to Guyana's ports of entry will be required to wear body cameras following allegations of extortion at the Chedijagan International Airport, CJIA. The directive comes after a passenger reported that police officers demanded money in exchange for the release of her lawful belongings. The Guyana Police Force, GPF, confirmed that CCTV footage and other evidence supported the complaint. The officers implicated in the incident have been placed under arrest, while the Office of Professional Responsibility conducts a full investigation. In a statement, the GPF stressed that extortion and bribery will not be tolerated. Any officer found guilty will face the full force of the law, the release stated. The force also reminded the public that no payments are required to clear legitimate items at Guyana's air or sea ports, and urged citizens to report any attempts at solicitation of money by law enforcement officials. The move is seen as part of wider efforts to boost transparency and accountability within Guyana's security services, particularly at sensitive entry points. Now please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and let me know what you think in the comments. That's it for this WHADAT update.